All right, sure. Got it. It's like, all right, cool. So why are we here beyond being a CA? So I think, yeah, as I was saying earlier, this program has been designed understanding that one has gone through somewhat of an undergraduate qualification, and then they've studied further and then obtained this qualification. Whether it's CMA or ACCA, whether it's recent or back in the years, that's the journey that one will have typically walked to find themselves here. So the idea is to say that as much as these are all professional accounting professional qualification, they do differ in terms of content and in terms of also how even similar content is assessed. It also differs. For instance, you're going to find that one of the things that will want you to do quite well, it is to really exercise your critical thinking and your analytical ability. That is one of the things that, based on my experience, based on what you see with this assessment, it becomes a lot clearer. Some, they've got a role where they expect you to be more of a strategic thinker, where you are able to solve problems and contribute meaningfully in the problem-solving process. Then some are very good in terms of just executing on particular functions in a finance division. So they do differ in terms of expectations. And the ability or having them as a combination does add quite a lot in one's professional developmental journey, because you are able to really solve problems that maybe with a particular designation you will have needed some work experience to be able to think in a particular way. So I know that CIMA, in terms of one of the things that I quite value about it, it is that ability to just help you to think more broadly and be more mindful about your operating environment. Whereas what I found the CA to be very beneficial is that ability to look at things and be able to critically analyze it, see the different dimensions of it, and be able to have a clearer understanding of the problem at hand. And CIMA then, for instance, was then to help to then say, now that the problem is clearer, how do we come up with a solution taking our context into account? So that is where the value of the CA qualification I need you to see it from. That yes, it is maybe well regarded where you work, and maybe it's an imperative. But what I want you to also be mindful of is the opportunity that it can just open in terms of some of the things that you might not have been be aware of, and also that may not have been clearer before. And each and every discipline, you're going to find that the level of detail we go into, it's sometimes the expertise that are held by different people. Like if you want someone to assist you with that, you don't come to a Rendani. Rendani knows math, but there will be someone that, not that they know just tax, but they're a specialist in VAT, because VAT is such a very big component of the CA syllabus. So that's what you then find to say, oh, there is someone who is really making a career, I've started a company, and what they specialize in is just that. How does that work? If I want to study further, how can I do it? So that's the other aspect that this can really open up. So I'll really want you to keep that open-mindedness about what you can do with this, and also how all this you can therefore use them when you eventually start working through APC program. So this is something that the CIMA qualification emphasizes as some of the key takeaways that after you have gone through the qualification journey, you have now come to embrace these 5 skills: technical skills, business skills, people skills, leadership, digital skills. So these are some of the things that the CIMA qualification prides themselves in. Then one of the things that when we talk about technical, the technical will be most informed by the what? By the syllabus on the left. And as you can see, there is some financial reporting, F1 and F2. They do go into that in somewhat a lot of detail. But the level of detail, it's as if one is expected to use it, not necessarily as a preparer of financial statements of a complex entity, but someone who is going to use them in order to make decisions, which is a very different view we're going to be taking. Here, you're going to be taken as an IFRS expert. Whether you work for a company and you are dealing with an IFRS expert that the auditors are challenging you on, or you are dealing with an IFRS issue that the board wants to have resolved, or you are dealing with an issue where now you are outside as an IFRS consultant and advising the internal team with the audit issue and so on. So that level of critical understanding will then be essential and required, and what we're going to work on in this course, which is something that might not have been as evident in what? In a CIMA qualification, for example. Then we are going to expose you to external audit, which is another significant leg. And we're going to spend a significant amount of time on corporate taxes, focusing specifically on VAT as well as income taxes. So you're going to be able to understand, if you are to put together an income tax calculation, what do you need to be mindful of? What or how does SARS and ZIMRA and all these other tax authorities think about tax? How does that differ from an accounting? Then there's going to be a session where we bring it together and say, but there is a standard called IS12. How does that work? How does it connect all these things together? So it's going to be a very, very interesting journey at the end of the day. And as I'm saying, key thing is embrace it and let's work through it together. Then from an ACCA qualification perspective, then you do have some of the fundamentals that are what? Some of the fundamentals that form part of the CA qualification. Because here, under applied skills, you do have quite a lot, like your financial reporting, your audit and assurance, your taxation, your financial management, and corporate governance in terms of corporate and business law. So there is what? There is the foundation or the fundamentals that you will generally see on the CA qualification. And in terms of the core aspects, the core are the ones that are there, but what again will be different will be just our approach and the rigor in terms of how we work through it. Because as I'm saying, every professional or accounting qualification has got accounting, but you're going to see how we then delve deep into that accounting using what? The actual standards. And the other thing that is then a little bit different is that when it comes to CA, the APC says that, or the professional bodies say that there's only one CA. So, and on that view, they're saying whether you have trained inside or outside public practice, you need a set of skills that can be expected from a CA. So you will then need to deal with audit and assurance. You will need to deal with accounting, tax, as well as management, finance, strategy, and risk management. So here, there's no choice. You need to deal with them in an integrated manner. Whereas when you conclude your ACCA qualification, you do have some elective. And the idea is, depending on how you want to progress, you can choose the likes of advanced assurance and audit if you see yourself as being an RA sometime later in your life. So these are some of the fundamentals. But as I'm saying, the more we go through it, the more you're gonna get to understand the difference. And now, when we go through this in a little bit more detail, it is to just understand why, though. Why is this pathway relevant? What are then the benefits that you need to really embrace? And one of the things that is undisputed is that in the South African context, CASA is still one of the most highly rated. I was speaking to some professionals in Zimbabwe as well, and they were sharing the same sentiments that yes, there are other qualifications, but we do find that the CA qualification does or is given a little bit more regard than the other ones. And sometimes it's one of those things that is the card that has been dealt with by the market. And then the best thing is to what? Is to recognize it and therefore use that to your advantage. Because what it means that once you have it, you'll also be able to benefit from the perception that exists. And when you read the reports of these professional bodies, you then get to see that, sure, in terms of the demand, the CA designation are still highly demanded globally. A lot of our candidates, after completing APC, they do get opportunities to travel to the UK and secure employment. They travel to Australia and so on. So it is still quite a globally recognized profession. Then and the other thing is just because of the technical rigor, you are able to adapt whether you are in the public or in the private sector, both in and out, you can be able to navigate. I mean, in South African context, the likes of SOEs, they do use the likes of IFRS. You do find that what the Auditor General also work and audit SOEs that apply IFRS and that requires quite a lot of CAs in order to meet their mandate. And just in terms of how the designation has been designed, you are able to really become a responsible leader in business. And in terms of just that journey, we did speak about it through in our open day, but just to quickly catch you up, is just to say that we need, or the CA qualification has got the academic aspects, it's got the training element, and you are then expected to what? To continue to professionally develop. So essentially, what it means that when we are here, we are exempted from all the academic requirements, but the assessment has not changed. we will then therefore use this kind of platform in order to bridge that particular gap. And as I'm saying, the work that we're going to do here is mostly work that has been covered in the CTA IEC aspect, and you are then expected to know it come the APC. Then one of the key things about this particular diagram here is to understand how we're going to use it in our journey. So according to the latest framework that SciCam and the other professional bodies are using, they're saying that one of the things that makes CAs stand out, it is their ability to think in an integrated manner. And they say thinking in an integrated manner is not simply to be able to see audit accounting issues from a single issue, but it is to be able to bring your technical, professional values and attitudes, as well as enabling competencies when you are dealing with a matter, where you are able to apply your business acumen, critical thinking, professional skepticism, ethical leadership in solving a technical problem. That's what critical thinking is all about. But we're going to find that what our focus here is, it's on the purple block, but it's a circle. So we're going to be building your technical competence in the way that it's envisioned in the CA of the Future framework. Then the enabling competencies, we will then build the foundation, which will then be further unlocked through the APC professional program. So we will not necessarily name or label them, but their foundation will be integrated into the delivery of the course, so that when you get to later and they are now saying this will require, or it was assessing critical thinking, it should not come as a foreign thing, but you will understand that, oh, but this I did see in the ABC program because we covered this and that and this. So there will be some of that element of embedding these things. When we talk about ethical leadership, the tutorials that we've got, the content that we've got on corporate governance and ethics will then help build those professional values and attitude that are expected. And as I'm saying, we will not necessarily name them as we go, but you're going to find that you will have a better sense of what is expected of you when we are saying you are thinking in an integrated manner. So technical, it's your disciplines, your accounting, finance, tax, audit, management, decision-making and control, as well as strategy. When we talk about professional values, we are talking about your ethical leadership, your ability to be adaptive, which is going to be core and embedded in how the program is delivered. Then professional citizenship, you will then be able to demonstrate it in some of the context covering this. Enabling competencies will be critical thinking, your business acumen, your communication skills, not too much digital acumen yet. And then there will be some planning and organizing, especially in meeting timelines and managing the program's commitments. Then we also spoke about the APC, just to say that what is the APC that you are eventually going to write, and why this then makes sense in terms of preparing for that. And one of the things that we highlighted quite strongly is that you will be expected to be an entry-level chartered accountant. Why is that noteworthy? It's not worthy because if you are an entry-level chartered accountant, you will know that you cannot, or you don't necessarily see recently qualified chartered accountants sitting at a board meeting. They can contribute to preparing a board pack, but it might be a number of months or even years before they sit at that board meeting. So essentially, that's what you are. And if in your current role you sit at a board meeting, then you need to tone it down a bit, because now you are supporting management that is sitting at those board meetings, meaning that you now need to be technically competent. You now need to be able to prepare a costing schedule to support whether a price makes sense or not, to support a decision of a market entry, of an acquisition of an asset. That's what you'll be expected to do now. Then you will also be expected to say, since you've recently qualified, then you know your tax, you know your audit, you know your accounting, and you know your math. You've just recently studied these things. So accordingly, they are saying that what? Technical will be the foundation of the APC. So accordingly, one needs to then say that that's true of me. I've just completed CTA, I've done IAC, and this is where I am. So we are now taking all that experiences and we are saying, let's get it right through the ABC. Right. Then we spoke briefly, even in our open day session, about how does that look like when we say it's technical. So one of the tasks that we saw in December 2023, it said respond to the CFO's email requesting assistance with the review of the impairment of cash generating unit. And you might say, wait, what is a cash generating unit? Maybe you've had it, maybe you've dealt with it even in your workplace, but that's what you need to figure out. You need to say, what does the standard say about what is a cash generating unit? Because one of the things that candidates needed to challenge was, how did you get to decide whether this was a cash generating unit or not? And you might be saying that, but wait, how was I supposed to get there? How was I supposed to even question this? What is even a cash generating unit? Why would I have believed it is and why it is not? So by the time we are done, this thing you'll be singing, you'll be loving. And I promise you, one of the things that's going to happen here, you're going to love this. I promise you're going to love accounting. You're going to love IFRS. And by the time we are done, you will not even want us to end. You'll want us to just continue with this IFRS. That's generally what happens with IFRS. It's just an easy thing to love. But the key thing is, once we are really done, you will not only love it, but you will be an expert in it and how to get the very best from those big books. So a task like this, you're going to come back and say that I can't believe that this is what they're asking in the APC, because now you will have grown, you will have developed, and you will have understood how to think through something like this. Then the other was to review draft calculation of a lease accounting. You might be saying that, okay, what are the questions? How do I even start to say that it's a lease accounting? How do I know I'm here or here? Those are the things that we're going to be working through here. And I promise you, you will love this once we are done. Then tax, as you can see, there was an income tax calculation that the candidates needed to review. But then they said that even tell us which ones are the reconciling item. And reconciling item is a term designated for IS 12 accounting or IFRS. So they integrated in just one task your tax knowledge as well as your IFRS knowledge, and they wanted you to say, how do they click together? That's why in your timetable, you'll find this a session called Integrating Accounting and Tax. So by the time we get through those, I promise you these things will make you love accounting and really embrace this journey. I promise you, Anthony, there's no way you're going to enjoy it. I promise. So I'm unable to speak. Sorry, I missed that. You were saying what? Sorry. What about those textbooks and not handbooks? Yeah, so textbooks, maybe let me just talk about them quickly. Thank you for that, Harry. So for anyone in the accelerated, I will not necessarily advise you to buy them. For me, that would be an overinvestment given the time and given that the focus will be moving to applying the principles in the handbooks in your assessment. So you will not have the luxury, given the time, to be revisiting them quite a lot. So for me, if you're in the accelerated or half year, for me, I'll say save that money, don't invest in them. You will then find that the notes in the CTA space will be sufficient to meet your technical needs. If now you are in a full year program, it depends. From a time perspective, you do have the time. In terms of going through them, after we've gone through the content in class, revisiting them, when we say prepare, visiting them. So you do have a little bit of a luxury in time. So accordingly, there might be merits if at any point you find that you need a little bit more. So unless, because I know some will say, but I have to make the call now. I have to make the call and say, I'm buying them or not because my employer is paying for me. If you are there, then to be safe, you can buy them. But if you are saying that, sure, I am not under that pressure, I would say if you're in the full year program, give it up until end of March, mid-April, and think about whether the resources we are giving you is not enough for you. And if it's enough, then you can forgo buying the textbooks. But if you're saying that, yeah, no, I'm finding the material working, but I think I need more examples, I need more of this, I need more of this, then yes, we can have a quick call and you can share your thoughts and we can engage and see whether then the textbook will be the best way to resolve any of your concern. But if there is a need to save some few cents, rands, I'll say focus on buying the handbooks. And the handbooks you're buying now, you are still going to use what? You are still going to use in 2025, so 2026. So that is why that investment makes sense for me. But the textbook, if and only if you can see that you're going to need them and you're going to have time to work through it. Is that clear? All right. So that is essentially some of the things that we took into account when designing this course, because we want you, when you come out, to really, when you're talking, when you're contributing in the group, people should be asking you, where did you do your CTA? If someone asks you that, then I've done my job. I'm done. Like that's what I'm here. If someone asks you, where did you do your CTA? Then we have really achieved excellence for this program, because that's how I want you to talk. I want you to be able to be at a level where you can talk about these things so intimately, so critically, such that one will not believe you are a first a CIMA ACCA member before you became a CA. So that's how good I want you to be. Are we excited about that? Like for me, like these things excite me. Are we excited, or am I just alone here?
Yeah, we are excited, Rendani.
All right, great. Great. Thank you, Thomas. So yeah, so
Hi, Renani.
hi.
Hi. I couldn't raise my hand, so
Yes,
sorry for jumping in like this. I just want to understand. So,
yes.
the ABC, the
Mm,
Accelerated Bridging course, right?
yeah,
It's going to be from now up until end of April, right?
yeah. April, yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So in this period, from now until end of April, the
Mm.
expectation is it that we are expected to have covered the majority of the CTA syllabus, or what is the expectation? Are we meant to have completed something by end of April, or is it just to say that we are fast tracking and then we'll just see where we are at end of April?
All right, fair question, Rulani. So let me tackle that. So the reality is, if one says that the CTA syllabus, let me say CTA syllabus. Let's say if the CTA syllabus has got 10 topics, what we have seen both in the first qualifying exam, which used to be ITC and now IAC, and in APC, what we have found is that in these 10, there are consistently 5 topical things that we have seen in the first qualifying exam, and we continue to see in what? In the APC. So what we have then now done, even in both the full year and the half year, we have now taken those 5 and we are now saying that we want to prioritize those so that when you have mastered those, you then have a framework, you then have an approach, you then have a pattern to be able to work with the other 5. And these 5 are the ones that you are likely to see time and again in the APC. Like, for instance, the design that we have for the ABC in 2023, when we launched it, and what we then prioritized was the same topics that we have now. And what I was showing you before, was the APC 2023. So you'll see in the program, we do cover leasing from an accounting perspective, and we do cover revenue. We do cover impairment of assets, or PPE in general, including impairment, intangibles, investment property. So that means a candidate that will have gone through this program, mastered those, and found themselves sitting for APC 2023 will have been fine in terms of their technical preparation. And the one that will have then gone through at the program and set for APC 2024, one of the topics that you will see is prioritized is IFRS 3 and IFRS 10. So in APC 2024 December, there was an IFRS 10 and IFRS 3 task. And then one that is prioritized from an auditing, you'll find it's internal control, task and internal controls and obtaining audit evidence. Then task A came what? came at APC December 2024 was internal controls and obtaining audit evidence. Then, from a tax perspective, we prioritize VAT. And one of the tasks in APC December 2024 was VAT. So we use that insight to just say, these are the key elements that seemingly will never be irrelevant in our accounting world. And we then consider what we have seen in this assessment to then prioritize some other topics. But what the face note you're going to find it does, it will tell you this is the entire syllabus. Then please, before class, do this on your own because they're going to help us unpack this much more clearly. But we might not necessarily deal with it. After class, deal with this. We are going to focus on this. So you have the full structure, but you will then be able to have a sense of what is prioritized, why it's prioritized, and therefore, how do you need to use the prioritized aspect in order to drive your success? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yes. So the topics that are then prioritized for accounting in both programs are similar. It's just because the full year has got a little bit more time, it'll then prioritize more. Whereas now for the half year, we've now said that, all right, if we have to further reprioritize, how are we going to do that? But one of the things about it is that and this is what someone asked for just last week. And I was like, oh, no, that's a fair ask. They said that, okay, they see that there are not some topics in the half year. So can we then do this? After the end of the half year, can we have a note that will give us some guidance on how we need to work through the other topics that we might not have covered, because we'll continue to have access to what? To the CTA videos when we're doing the APC. And I thought that is a fair ask. So for the half year one, when you exit the program, you're going to get a final face note that will say that, all right, going forward, this is how you need to be engaging with your CTA content. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, sure. Okay, and what's the nine? Sure. And what's the nine? Your mic is still off. Just check if you can unmute and go for it. Are you winning? I see Priska saying that, so hope you come right. I can't unmute for some reason. What will it be? Because I think everybody's been given rights. Dakalo, are you able to assist or unmute for him? I don't know if we can do that. I don't know how to, might be the challenge. Maybe try going out and coming back in. Maybe let's see if that will solve the problem. But Priska, I see that you're saying, I'm scared actually. Please don't be. Different it is, I do agree. But I will not say be scared, just it's different. And that's why we have this course. We're going to work together. We're going to have much of the hand holding initially, but I promise you, after accounting, things will be much more clearer. You will be able to navigate these handbooks with confidence. You will be able to get to, if you're in the full year, by the time we get to the exam,
Sorry, Rendon, you muted.
All right. Thank you so much. Sure. So, and I was saying, so I was saying that, yeah. So different it is. It's gonna require some adjustment, definitely. But the reason we start with accounting is because accounting makes things make sense. Like tax makes sense once you've covered accounting, audit makes sense once you've covered accounting, and so on. And you'll see in the face note, so just to give you a heads up, so the face note will tell you why we start with accounting. We start with accounting because you need to understand how transactions enter into the books and master that. And once you've mastered that, you then say, but are this transaction true? Did you really apply IFRS? So you call an auditor. So the auditor cannot come to you without also they themselves being an IFRS expert. Because the role of an auditor is to tell the users of the financial statements whether you complied with IFRS or not. That's what they do. Because if you see the opinion says the financial statements are not materially misstated from the requirements of IFRS. So IFRS says that depreciate an asset. Did you depreciate an asset? No, you didn't depreciate an asset. That's a misstatement. Please depreciate an asset to correct. So that's what the auditors do. So once you understand accounting and mastered it, you become a good audit client. But remember there, you become an auditor, you then become a good auditor. Then after that, you are now saying that, but after these books have been audited, I need to take them to SARS. SARS now needs to tell me that I'm going to be entitled to these deductions or not. So these books need to have been in IFRS, send them to SARS or to the revenue authorities. Then the revenue authority says, hey, but I've got my own rules. Undo this accounting of yours and do mine. So you need to know what accounting was done to be able to undo it. And after you have done that, you need to do what the tax authorities want. So that is how the problem was thought through. So that is then the journey that we're going to be taking. And as I'm saying that, yes, sometimes before we jump in, it looks scary, but the team, they know the mandate. We are here to ease this journey for you. So if at any point you find that we are too fast, please don't hesitate to say, can we pause and just unpack this thing a little bit more clearly? Yes, the first, I promise that the April, Feb will be a little bit rough, but let's take it step by step. And the best way to do it is also in the timetable. You're going to find that there are tutorials. So the tutorials will then give you those in advance and say, this is the question. We are going to cover these topics, and these topics are assessed this question. This is a previous ITC question, and we're going to work through it together. If you want, you can even submit, and the team can mark for you in advance and share feedback that talks to you. But if you don't submit, no worries, we get them and we say, now we've covered this standard, then there's this requirement. How do you bring them together? So that is the point of a tutorial. And you're going to find that it adds to that love I was talking about. Everything builds on that love. By the time you are done, this thing, the love is grown and you are really excited about it. That's it. I know right now you might be saying it's scary, but I promise you, Priska, by the time we get to what? Let's call it end of March, I'll be here to ask, how is it going? And you're going to be telling me something entirely different from today. And Lirato as well right there. I promise. Roland, go for it. Harry, I see you there. All right. Rulani, I see your hand is up. Go for it.
Oh,
Okay.
hi. I was on mute. Sorry. So I want to find out. I'm aware that it is possible for someone to fail APC. So I want to understand what goes into that determination. Is it a test that is similar to the main exam that we are going to write with psycha? And is it can I view it as a mock exam or a prelim rather?
So you're talking about the APC.
APC, yes, the what?
Yeah, so the APC, you need to complete successfully the assessments to get the certificate. The certificate, then it's like call it like it's like your entrance certificate. Only people that hold the certificate can sit for APC. An issued certificate lasts for 3 years. So you write year one, maybe it doesn't work out. You can come back with the same certificate, write for year two. If it doesn't come right, then go for a third sitting with the same certificate and you are good.
So the certificate, in order to get it, are we going to write an exam?
Yeah.
Okay. And the exam is I would imagine quite similar to the final exam that we're gonna write with psycha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And okay. Pass mark is 50%. I would
There are no marks.
Okay. So what goes into the determination of whether someone passed? How do you determine? Is it what do you look at?
Yes, so the answer is not as simple as black and white. And the reason that I say this, I think even in the APC class for last week, if you go to that one, they spent an hour just talking about that because the assessment structure is very different. So I'll advise you to access those videos. You can talk to the team, they will direct you to those videos, but you'll see that they spent almost an hour just unpicking that because it's not a straightforward. It's a very different assessment to a marks-based assessment.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Thank you.
So, but here in the ABC, we're still on marks. But I'll explain when I get so. Let me see what's the night. Still struggling to unmute. I'm sorry about that. But wanted to ask, I did not do text since my bachelor. I did not take it as a subject in ACCA. Do you advise doing a text course separate to this, or you start from the basics? So fundamentally, we start from the basics, eh? So when I said we start from the basics, we will start, and you'll see with the CTA videos, because that's where the basics, we spent quite a lot of time on them, and in every topic. So we'll start, even if we're talking about math, we start by saying, what is an overhead? How do we build it up from there? So here you will then understand firstly the different taxes. That's the starting point to say what taxes are available and how do you read them? What is a section? What is a proviso? What is the Administration Act? What is this? So we start from there. Then we then go and say, who are the taxpayers? Where is it different? So there is that fundamental, those foundations. And we will go through those in quite a lot of detail. And the CTA videos will then have much more detail than what we are going to cover in class. So I will not say be worried. And remember that the other thing about it is that we are going to be focusing on corporate tax. So corporate tax is the tax on companies only. We're not going to spend too much time on individuals, but you do have access to the individual videos and you can look at that. So yeah, so don't be too worried about that. Right. Great. I think that's all answered. Base now my presentation. Sure. Oh yeah. So I think what do you call it? You can cut the recording and then do it and then record again, Dagao. But now what I want to talk to you about is just the detail in what